Hello and welcome back to Tom's Tavern. Today is going to be a very fun video. I'm looking forward to it. As a lifelong Zelda fan, I have a lot of thoughts about all these games that you see on screen here. I'm going to be ranking on a tier list all the Zelda games that I've played and completed. Immediately you'll notice that some of them aren't on here, mainly a bunch of the early 2D games, because I haven't played them in full, so I don't have many thoughts on them. I respect them, but they're just not really too much of interest to me. But yeah, so anyways, we'll get right into it. Again, these are just my own thoughts and opinions. A lot of these I have so many personal connections with to varying degrees, so of course our opinions are going to differ. But feel free in the comments to let me know what your favorite Zelda game is, or you can rank the whole series if you want or anything like that. That'd be cool to get a bit of a discussion going. I always enjoy watching other people do, their own tier lists and rankings, just because it's cool just hearing like stories of, why people resonate with certain games more than others. But yeah, some of these choices might surprise you of the placements, some might not. And I also thought this would be a good time because Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment just came out and finished, which I finished on this channel and did a review for and everything. So I'm like, now's the time as any, and we've also gotten like, some news on the Zelda film recently, so I'm like, I'll go on with my my current Zelda videos, because it is technically Zelda month, November being Zelda month technically. So I thought, now's the time as any. So yeah, anyways, we'll get right into it. So we're going to do it in the order that you see here from left to right. And again, played all these to completion. Some I've replayed multiple times, but I'll get into that. This is going to be a fairly lengthy video. I'll have like footage of the games show up as we go along and everything like that. But this is going to be like a pretty in-depth analysis of all the games and my feelings with them. Some of these, I feel different on compared to how I felt about them like 5 years ago, and a couple of these I'm like, I'm slightly undecided on. So with all of these, it's going to be their latest versions. So like, the 3DS remakes, the Wii U versions, the HD versions, all that kind of stuff. All of these are the latest definitive versions of them all. So yeah, so Ocarina of Time, yeah, that's top tier for me. That game for me is home. It's a second home for me. It was the first video game that I played literally ever, the earliest that I could remember anyways. So I grew up on it. I have a lot of bias towards it. I was terrified of the game when I was a kid, but I was also addicted to it. I couldn't get past the first dungeon, so I was like, because it was so scary. So I just stuck to the main area. My cousins helped me get past the first bit. The whole world was open to me. It was so cool going to Hyrule for the first time. And it was just, the game was a blast for me. So many memories. I think it has the best music in the Zelda series, just so many memorable tunes. It's literally just my favorite game of all time, like still is. So that's, yeah, no shock there. That's going to be number one the whole time. So it's, that game is like more than a game for me. I understand like why a lot of people might not resonate with it in today's day and age. Because, I just know the game so well that I just know everything to do. But if you're playing it brand new without a guide, you have no idea what to do. I do see how a bunch of things are a bit clunky and, it's not the best combat in the world or anything like that. But I think everything is just so solid. I love the art style and the 3D version's graphics. I think are fantastic and everything like that. I just think it's a very compelling classic story. Zelda's cool in it, Sheik's cool in it. I like all the, the world building and everything like that. It just does everything perfectly for me. And again, it's just a game that is always going to be incredibly special to me. So, I'm sure I could do a 10-hour essay on that one, but, I won't, have you guys sit through that right now. But there's just so much I love about the game. And then, interestingly enough, Majora's Mask. So this one I was never able to play as a kid because you needed the expansion pack, attachment thing, and I never figured that out. So I wasn't able to play this until the 3DS version. And that one is a bit more of a mixed bag for most people because, like, they change a few too many things from the original, some sort of for worse. And for the most part, honestly, I think it's like very playable. And because I didn't play the original, I have like less issues with like some of the changes that they did. But honestly, the time mechanic is like, I'm not faulting this game for anything. It's just less my style and flavor to play and revisit. I like admiring it from afar because like I love the aesthetic. It's cool, sort of, you know, that the same Link is on this journey and all that. But reusing a lot of the same elements and being the same characters, but you know they're named different, all this kind of stuff. I don't know. It felt a bit too like, I don't know, like too similar and not at the same time, that it sort of throws me off a bit. And just the time pressure of the whole thing, I just do not sit with. I'm also not like massive on the dungeons personally. Like they're perfectly fine, but I don't know. The game is like, it just doesn't evoke much comfort, but I think it is really cool. And the music's really cool. Like the similarities to Ocarina of Time is like a pro and con at the same time. But I do think the game is really good, but not on the top tier level. So I'm going to put it in great tier, to be honest, because I do think there's a lot to enjoy with it. And I really like the lore and, you know, the Skull Kid himself and all that, you know, very cool. So yeah, honestly, I'd put it in great tier because there's definitely a lot to enjoy in it. And I do appreciate how like the side quests are a lot more meaningful than that in Ocarina of Time. And then we have Wind Waker. So I think the HD version is a very a nice upgrade. So that one, honestly, I've loved it since I was a kid too. I did play the original growing up and then played the you know, the HD version, obviously. I think it's very solid. It's not my favorite art style. Like, I do think it's aged well, but it's still not my preferred, like, you know, aesthetic and visual for a Zelda game. Like, you know, I'm not here to be a pirate per se, and you know, I'm not wanting this chibi sort of art style, so I'm not hating on it. It's just not my favorite. But I do think the game is fantastic. I love the soundtrack. You know, the Dragon Roost Island theme, Outset Island. You know, just so many great themes in there. And it is a very refreshing entry. So I am going to put that in top tier. But it is there's a significant gap between Ocarina of Time and that. But it's still a top tier game for me, definitely. And then we have a couple of sequels. So we have yeah, Phantom Hourglass. Yeah, this one, I gotta be honest, and this isn't a hot take in the series at all, but it's my least favorite Zelda game. You know, I have a little bit of nostalgia with it. I think the game is perfectly playable, but the temple that you keep going back to, I'm just not huge on it. There's like no notable music in this at all. Like Linebeck's theme is perfectly fine, but I don't even like him much as a character, to be honest. There's no memorable like enemies or monsters. I bet you can't even like name the final villain, you know, of the game. And it being like directly, you know, from Wind Waker, I'm like, where that game, you know, you're traveling around on a boat and everything like that, and this game is the same thing, so it doesn't even offer anything new, but it's on a DS, so it's a lot more limiting. It's just like, you're just giving me a worse version of Wind Waker in practically every way, you know? So, for me, it's my least favorite Zelda game, so it is going in meh. I don't think it's a bad game, but I do think it's like, just, yeah, it's just not impressive in the slightest. I do like, is it Cecilia or Celia, the fairy companion with Link? She's a bit of a cool character, I enjoy her. And, you know, there's a little bit of charm to the DS game, but yeah, I don't come back to it much at all, so no, not really for me. But Spirit Tracks, this is where I differ from most people, so I think this game is really good. So immediately, I'm going to put this in the good tier. I think it's miles above Phantom Hourglass. So firstly, you know, my complaints with that, right? It's like, it's a very similar system where, like, you know, you're drawing where you want to go, right, on the DS. But this time it's a train, so it's different, and you're in a different Hyrule, right? It's not the same sort of blue ocean. So it's very different on those regards. And the music is fantastic. There's like 5 or 6 tracks that, you know, I can immediately think of. The main overworld theme and the main, like, you know, Spirit Tracks theme. I really love, I think it's overworld theme, it's called, like the one where, like, when you just go to like an actual like little sort of village area and all that. I love that theme so much. I go back to it pretty often. And I just have a few more like good nostalgic memories with this. Not to mention, Zelda is with you the whole time in spirit form, and she's one of my favorite Zeldas in this game. So I don't know, like there's just so much more to appreciate in this. I think the aesthetic of the game and the villains are a little bit more memorable. Still not the best in the world, but I know that it's like, you know, the leprechaun dude and that sort of dude with the robot arm is like, you know, the main villains and all that. So it's like, it's a bit more memorable in all those regards. So it's not a great game or anything like that, but I do think it's quite above that, and it deserves more merit than people give, I would say, to be honest. So yeah, to be honest, it's a good game in my opinion. So I'm happy putting it in the good tier. So, very different game next. We have Twilight Princess. This one, you know, banger of a game. Loved it growing up. Ironically, I got stuck in the fishing bit when I first played and stopped playing it for months after that. But then I figured stuff out and got through later on. But yeah, you know, it's kind of the definitive like visual look for Zelda. Like, you know, in terms of like a close live action sort of look. You know, a lot more serious and all that. The music is fantastic. I love just how, you know, it's a lot more like Lord of the Rings inspired and just, I don't know, more scope and scale to everything. I do think the world, specifically like Hyrule Field itself and all that, a little bit dull. And there's some designs I'm not like massive on. But, you know, I love this version of Ganondorf, probably my favorite version. And there's just a lot more to appreciate and, you know, do in this game, I feel. And I really like the dungeons and the story itself. And Midna, what a fantastic character and story arc and everything. She's fantastic. And yeah, I actually kind of like how it's a slower pace at the beginning. And, you know, you're doing like sort of farm work and everything and you're getting to know your village. Because when the story takes place, you care about these characters. If you just kicked right into it, okay, let's save these random NPCs, you know what I mean? Like, you care more because you know, like, the connections and everything like that. And yeah, again, like, Ice Peak Ruins, I really like that in the boss and that dungeon and everything. Yeah, just like so many like great dungeons in this. I love the finale, like the 4-part finale to the ending like battles and all that. That's fantastic, and a very heartbreaking emotional ending. Like, you know, I really cared about Midna and these characters, so that's very cool. And again, I just like really like the art direction for the most part and everything like that. So I think it's fantastic. So for me, that is going in top tier, and you can definitely see similarities with Ocarina of Time, which is again a part of what I like about it. But I do think it's different enough for sure. So it's going in top tier, and it's going above Wind Waker because I do prefer it. And then we have Skyward Sword. The HD version makes this much more of a sort of refined version. So I love the story and characters in this game the most. This is my favorite Link and Zelda out of the whole series. Their connection just immediately makes the game so much more compelling. Zelda is like so cute, but like so helpful and like has like a much more of a personality. And the fact that we're like chasing her the whole game trying to get to her, it's just like you just feel such a connection and everything. And especially at the end when you have to go through the army to get to her, I'm like, that just felt so empowering and cool. Not to mention, I really like the art style for this game. It's kind of a mixture of Wind Waker and Twilight Princess combined. And the music's really good. I think this is the first one that had like a live orchestra do the actual music. Many great themes. I liked flying around, but the sky world and all that could have been more interesting. Definitely, I do think that. The fact that you revisit the same areas, but it's a little bit different, I didn't take too much issue with that, to be honest, because it was like different enough, you know? So for me, honestly, I'm going to put this in top tier, and I'm going to put it above Wind Waker just because I do resonate more with the characters and story overall. But they're pretty close together, I would say, to be honest. But it's below Twilight Princess because that one I just think is more of a sort of epic, sort of cool story to me. But yeah, so I really like it. I don't really have many issues with the motion controls. It was fine by me, you know, it makes the game a little bit different. So I enjoy that. Fi as a character, she's perfectly fine. I enjoy her. A little bit of an emotional ending with her. Yeah, there's some annoying elements of the game. Like, I didn't like fighting the Imprisoned, you know, as many times as they sort of made you. But yeah, you know, there's a lot to enjoy in the game. The side quests are fun and quirky. And yeah, I just think we get a lot of emotion out of Link in this game. And I really enjoy all the cutscenes and all that, so it resonates a lot with, like, you know, the story. And the demise fight at the end is very cool. So I really enjoy that. And then we have A Link Between Worlds. I've always really enjoyed this game, but, you know, I never really think back on it too much. This is one of the few Zelda games I feel where it's like, it's kind of great at everything, but it isn't the best at any singular category, you know? Like, I enjoy the art style, the music, and the puzzles and the temples and the fact that you can do them in, like, any order, and, like, the story's pretty good, but none of it's top tier, none of it's, like, the best at anything. It's just great all the way around. So, for me, that's why I am going to put it in, you know, the great tier, hence why I say great, like, 20 times. I'm going to put it below Majora's Mask, just because Majora's Mask has more impact, and I feel has a better vibe, you know. But I really like the fact that you can like turn to a painting on the wall and all that. I thought that really freshened things up, and again the fact that you can do the dungeons in any order and everything like that. And I liked all the low rule segments and the sort of story revolving around that. And yeah, it's just really solid all the way around, but it's not the best at anything, I would say, in my opinion. And then yeah, we have a Hyrule Warriors game, so very different. Especially the first entry is just, you know, completely unattached from everything, and a very like fan service filled game of just colliding these universes. The definitive version on the Switch does add all the DLC, and you know, it's a little bit better looking and all that. So that definitely does add to the game a bit. So to be honest, I'm going to put this in the decent tier. It's you know, it's very fun. It's not the most replayable, but I don't know, it's a fun like once playthrough, and it is cool seeing all these characters collide. The music I'm not that huge on. It doesn't feel too Zelda-like, and again, there's no puzzle solving in this, so it's like, although it is refreshing and fun, it's like, this isn't an actual Zelda game. But they do try a little bit of Astoria with like Sia and Link and all that, and I do like the art style and the designs and all that, and it is cool playing as like all these different Zelda characters, but it's not much of a full-on Zelda game, obviously, so that's why I'm like, it's decent, it's fine, you know, and with all the DLC and all that, so that's my thoughts on that. And then we have Link's Awakening, the HD remake. Looking at the original and looking at the controls you had to play with, I'm like, that looks so unplayable to me. I could not play that. But this version with like the updated controls, the graphics, the music, all that, it looks fantastic. Again, similar thing to Wind Waker, not really my art style, like preference. This game does everything great that it's going for, but there's no Zelda, there's no Ganondorf. I'm not that huge on the art style. I'm not that huge on like this island aesthetic. The music, some songs are like pretty decent, but I don't go back to them that much. So this is one of the ones where I'm just like, everything's great at what it's going for, just not really any of it is my style. So that's why for me, I'm going to put it in decent. And I'm going to put it below Hyrule Warriors just because I've like played that more and enjoyed that a bit more. But nothing against the game at all, just not really my sort of style, to be honest. But then you get to Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, and that's, you know, same art style, very similar thing, but this time we play as Zelda, so already a bit different. And, you know, she has a different way of her mechanics and everything, so I'm like, okay, a bit more interesting. This world is bigger, it's actually Hyrule, you know, we have the Gerudo, multiple Zora, you know, Gorons and all that. And I enjoy the story more in this. The music is a bit better. It feels more like a Zelda story. You know, Ganon's in it. And I really like the story that they sort of do with Link, with making him still like a cool, pivotal sort of thing. But, you know, the way they go around that. So I just enjoyed like just everything a bit more. And, you know, we have a horse we can travel around with. It pretty much just like takes, you know, what Link's Awakening did, but kind of just like added all the elements that I would like in a typical Zelda game. So that definitely bumps it up. But it still has like the restrictions of the art style and, you know, what it can actually do and all that. So I'm going to put it in the good tier because I do think it's a good game and definitely a step above, you know, Link's Awakening for me. But it's still like not one of my favorites or anything like that. But I think it's very solid. All right, now we get to the Breath of the Wild saga. All right, so I'm going to do these sort of semi-chronologically, as you can sort of see here. So yeah, Breath of the Wild, what a game. My thoughts on this have gone up and down, interestingly enough. The first time I played Breath of the Wild on the Wii U, I was fresh out of high school on my gap year, so I wasn't doing anything for the year. And this was the most fun I've ever had playing a game ever. I can remember it so vividly. Playing it on the Wii U, I had like no issues. I was so excited. And I loved the world, the characters, the graphics, how big everything was. The music was very nice. Not the most bombastic music, but, you know, very nice. I love the segments where you're assisted by the champions to take down the divine beasts before you like hop on them to do the dungeons. They're not the best dungeons in the world or anything, but man, this game, I love this game so much. So it is going in top tier and it's going in second place right next to Ocarina of Time because it just impacted me so much and it just impacted the game industry so much. And I don't know, I just love this Hyrule. I love the champions. Urbosa's great, Mipha's great, Daruk, yeah, I believe, he's great. not Rivali. You can go somewhere. And you know, I love all the cutscenes, and we have voice acting for the first time, so that's very cool and interesting. And I really like this Link, how he's like more deliberately silent in the cutscenes and all that. That's really great. So yeah, I just resonated with it so much. There's so much charm and personality to this game. I love so many of the designs and the graphics and everything. I just anytime I think back on it, especially now, I'm like, it's just so warm and cozy and comforting, you know? However, one of the biggest gripes that I still have is it has one of the weakest endings to the game, to a Zelda game. The fight with Calamity Ganon, I don't like his design, and the fact that he goes to half health, I'm like, it's not very impactful. And when he's like the Dark Beast Ganon, I'm like, that was a bit clunky to like play and all that. Like visually it was all fine, but you know, I didn't resonate with that much. The ending cutscene and all that is perfectly fine, but the whole journey is the selling point, right? But the ending, pretty weak and not really. It's definitely one of the weaker elements of the game, right? And yeah, so then we get to Age of Calamity, Hyrule Warriors. So this one I also viewed a little bit differently, especially after Age of Imprisonment that just came out. So this one was a prequel, but it has an element in there that, you know, makes it not canon and includes the future, right, with the new champions when they show up. Honestly, I really enjoyed this game when I first played it, so I'm going to put this in the good tier. This being a Hyrule Warriors game where it's actually in a Hyrule that's already been established, you know, and it's continuing it, and we get even more cutscenes and all that, it makes it inherently feel more like a proper Zelda game, and the music, the music feels more like and sounds more like a typical Zelda game. And there's a couple elements where they try and do like a little bit of puzzle solving sort of throughout the maps and stuff like that. So, you know, and the fact that we get to play as the champions that we love and know from Breath of the Wild, I'm like, that's really awesome. And something that I really liked in it is we get to control the divine beasts, right? So that was like a very fun element and all that. But again, it is going to be on the low end of good tier because I'm like, again, it's still not a full-on Zelda game. It is good, I do like it, but... And, you know, I really like all the interactions we get with, like, Link and Zelda. And I personally thought the choice to break the canon with it and make it, you know, have the new champions help the old ones and all that. I thought that was really fun, you know. And I'm going to get into more of that sort of shortly, explaining, like, the other token of, you know, if they didn't do that. But, I know, I just really liked that. I thought that was very hype. And I'm like, oh, sweet, you know, like, just sort of, I know, I just really enjoyed it. And then playing as them in the game, you know, it was just really fun. So yeah, I thought it was very solid. But, you know, it's still not a full-on Zelda game, so that's why it's low good tier. And then we have Tears of the Kingdom. So this one I have only played the once all the way through, but I've done a lot of side stuff and I've revisited it a couple times just running around and all that. So this game, visually and aesthetically and everything, I think it's gorgeous, right? It's like slightly evolved from Breath of the Wild. Still very similar, but, you know, slightly evolved. And I didn't know how to feel about the game. I really enjoyed the first sky segment and beginning of the game when I first played it. But then when I went down to the world, I'm like, you know, everything feels the same but different. I don't know what's different, you know, like, because, you know, it's like the same world, but obviously it's not the exact same. And it took me a bit to get used to, like, the crafting mechanics and all that and, like, combining things. And I'm like, I didn't mesh with it for a little bit, but then after a few hours it like really kicked in and I got into the swing of it all again, right? And it was nearly as fun as playing Breath of the Wild for the first time, but a lot of these is when they come into your life, right? Breath of the Wild came into my life when I just finished high school and I had so much free time. Tears of the Kingdom, a very different context in my life, right? So it's not as like warm feeling of a game, but I still like, I love the game, right? But I'm like, when I think back to memories and all these things, I'm like, I don't like the champions as much in this one. And the story overall, I do think is like much better. That's the biggest thing I'll say, right? I love the story much more in this. Ganondorf is actually, you know, all three forms of him look fantastic. And, you know, learning about the history of Hyrule more and all that, I just think they improved so much of the storytelling in this game. And it is so heartbreaking with, like, you know, Zelda, you know, turning into the dragon and all that. So, to be honest, I'm going to put this in top tier. But I'm going to be putting it behind Breath of the Wild because Breath of the Wild, I don't know. Before this, I really thought I was going to put it above Breath of the Wild, but Breath of the Wild just had that magic of that first playthrough and just all the memories, right? It just has such a connection with me. But Tears of the Kingdom is just behind it, and it's such a strong game, and it's in top tier because I think the story is fantastic. But the ending of this game is so much better than Breath of the Wild in my opinion. In this game, in comparison, this one, so instead of just 4 laser beams, you know, bringing down Ganon's health, Calamity Ganon's health to half, this one, you have all your allies, all the champions that you know gather along the way, and you're fighting an army as the first wave, right? And then you're fighting Ganon one-on-one in a duel, and his health extends to double, right? So that I'm just like, that is freaking awesome. And then after that, for the last section, Ganondorf turns into a dragon himself, and we're assisted by Light Dragon Zelda in the sky. The swelling and motion of that, even right now, I'm just like, that is so epic and amazing. I was tearing up throughout that whole final beat, just of the sheer epicness and scale of it. And like the bond that I felt between Link and Zelda, I just thought that was freaking fantastic. And I really love the end cutscene, how it paralleled the start where Link dives to save Zelda, and they get like a happy ending there. I'm just like, that was just I love the ending to that game. So that's something that really elevates the game in comparison to Breath of the Wild for me. So easily in top tier and easily above what's below it. And then we have the last entry here, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. So this one, they really harped on the fact that this is canon, right? And they showed the trailers and everything, and because people complained that, you know, the last one wasn't canon, right? Because this is the same Hyrule, same, you know, characters and all that. However, this is like in the past, obviously. And the trailers made it look like you got to walk around as Zelda a bit more and, like, you know, experience the world. I'm like, oh, sweet. We got like so minimal of that at the very beginning of the game, and then it abandoned it. The game was fine. I was not really impressed with anything. The graphics look all fine, but you know, this is the 4th time we're seeing this world and graphics and designs and all that. And I don't know, I'm just a bit tired of it. And I'm also a bit tired of the Hyrule Warriors formula. So this game for me is decent, and it's low decent. Like just barely indecent. Because I'm like, the game didn't really offer much. The fact that it's fully canon, it restricted itself. It didn't really tell too much of a compelling story. We barely learned more about Ganondorf. I don't prefer these champions because we barely learn about them. Like, Artie is decent. I don't know, we don't learn too much. It was cool seeing the stuff with the construct that had the shard of the Master Sword and all that. But, I don't know, there wasn't really much to offer. Like, I can barely think of any memorable moments from this. The ending was, like, kind of cool. You know, the combat was really good, you know, and the dual abilities and all that. But when I finished this game, I had zero motivation to do any side stuff. There's no like extra cosmetics for things. And I don't know, I think it's a bit of an exhausted formula using Hyrule Warriors for, you know, this kind of stuff. So I don't know, it just didn't really resonate with me. And again, them making this fully canon, they restricted themselves because they're just like, oh, rather than do something extra fun and interesting, like we're in Age of Calamity, there's like the time travel element and breaking the canon. Like, oh, what if this happened? That'd be so cool, right? And I'm like, yeah, that is really cool. This is a bloody Hyrule Warriors game. Have fun with it, you know? Because I still think, although that game wasn't canon, I still think the interactions, like the characters were canon in the sense of like, this is how they would act and, you know, how they would be in these, you know, portions, right? And I don't know, I just didn't really get much from, you know, Age of Imprisonment, so it was very lacking for me. But the game is perfectly fine. You know, I didn't really have anything overly special to say about it or even remember about it. But yeah, so either way, that's my ranking for all the Zelda games, so you can see it here. Thank you so much for watching. Again, let me know what you think of my list, and feel free to, you know, say what Zelda games are your favorite and all that, or, you know, whatever you want to talk about. Just keep it, like, you know, civil and everything, obviously. But this was fun to do. You know, I love the Zelda series. You know, I don't think any of these games are like full-on bad. And even the 2D games that I haven't played, you know, the only one really of interest is A Link to the Past, because I hear really good things about that. But even to me, I'm just like, well, I hear the similarities between that and A Link Between Worlds, and I'm like, A Link Between Worlds just seems better in every single way to me personally. But yeah, anyways, thank you so much for watching again, and yeah, stay tuned for future videos. I'll see you guys next time.